You know, we've been talking here at WowBiz Weekly about the Mastercraft building on the northern edge of downtown Omaha as kind of a hub for entrepreneurial activity. We've also talked about the next wave of the digital economy, which is, of course, the title on this copy of Strategy Plus Business Magazine, a terrific read. And so we're going to talk today to a gentleman who's part of a strategic alliance, a grouping of people who's right in the middle of this and really helping Omaha's innovators and entrepreneurial community. He's literally in the Mastercraft building along with three other prominent firms here in the Omaha area. Please welcome my guest, Mr. Daniel McMahon, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Here you are. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure to have you, man. I see your organization. I didn't say it. We should say you're with Koley Jessen, right?
Right. So one of the, like you said, Mastercraft Advisors is the group we're with, and there's 4 separate firms that are involved, and I'm with Koley Jessen, which is the business law firm.
Yeah, it's a prominent law firm. Are they downtown or where are they at? I forget.
We're at One Pacific Place.
Okay,
so
great.
kind of
All right, yeah,
downtown
excellent.
Area, so.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, you led in with this. I don't know if this was planned, but it was interesting, all the things that the prior guests were talking about.
Yeah, it's an eclectic combination.
You know, we're sort of, notice those and are trying to touch those, and that's kind of how this thing came along. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, tell everybody just basically, who are the Mastercraft Advisors? Let's get that out and explain that briefly.
Sure. And again, it's 4 separate groups. I'm with, like I said, Koley Jessen's a business law firm.
Right.
Advent IP is an intellectual property law firm.
Advent IP, we want to say that name again. That's they're a little younger and newer firm, yeah.
Lutz is an accounting firm, and then First National Bank, everybody knows. And we were all, again, independent service providers, but we're all, noticing what's going on in Omaha and Lincoln and the region in the startup space. And
we've been talking about the pipeline and the innovation accelerator and the attention that's being given to entrepreneurial upsurging, shall we say?
Right. And just wanted to, be a part of that and saw it going on. I had clients that were in there, but really just trying to figure out, it's a different space. These clients don't have a lot of sort of money or time, as we talked about, to really devote to that, and maybe don't see the value in it until they need a lawyer, they need an accountant, but there's a lot of value to sort of doing that up front. So we were looking for a way to get involved and talk to a lot of the connectors in the group and ended up coming up with this idea. So.
And it's a very interesting idea. I think unprecedented, at least to my knowledge, where 4 of these prominent firms here in Omaha, and by the way, I mean, you all earn a lot of revenue. You're serving Omaha's largest corporations in many cases. Right. And all of a sudden, how is it that 4 of you say, you know what, we should go down there to the Mastercraft and share the rent of a little teeny office and serve all these young entrepreneurs.
I wish we had a bigger one, I'm sure.
I'm sure. And serve all these people who don't have any money, really. Many of them are not particularly, they're not big companies. What's the story there? I mean, you guys are in it for profit and money and so on. Why is this?
And give away our time. I mean, when we're in the Mastercraft building, it's just an open door sort of policy for consulting with folks that have issues. And
right.
There's a.
What's the strategic rationale? I'm trying to get beneath it here because it doesn't make sense on the surface. There's not a short-term big gain. So what's the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, part of it truly is just sort of,
you're acting like a nonprofit, my friend.
Yeah, pro bono community service part of it, because again, you see with sort of what's happening in Omaha, this sort of in Nebraska, this sort of startup scene is getting national attention.
Yes.
Yes. And
that's true.
A lot of the big corporations are, sponsoring things. The Omaha Chamber's big focus is on encouraging entrepreneurship, and I think people see the big picture of, bringing the talent here, allowing these companies to stay here instead of having to move to the Silicon Valley. They can stay in, what they're calling the Silicon Prairie now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there is a long-term value that we see on again, doing the little part we can to contribute to that and help it grow and stay here. So.
Okay. Well, let's talk about 3 usages of your strategic alliance. 3 instances in which you would say, okay, that's what we're here to do. Let's dig in. Like what? Writing a business plan, or helping somebody who dreams up a cool idea, trademark it and protect it from duplication, or I mean, give us a couple tangible project things you do.
Sure. 2 specific things we do, and then I'll give you some examples. Again, we're in the Mastercraft building. We have open office hours. The different firms there every day. Right. People stop in and just, hey, I have this business question. I have this legal question. I have this
accounting question. And you're in suite number what?
We're on the directory.
Let's say this. Let's say you're right next to suite 138.
140.
Is it 140?
These guys would know.
We got Bob Grinnell here, so he knows. All right, go ahead.
Then we do, every other Wednesday, we do a lunch and learn. So part of our sort of mission is to add to the sort of educational component. And so we do every other week a 30-minute presentation, free lunch. We're in the Silicon Prairie News office space to do that. And
Okay, you do it over there.
and then so, an example, to your point, yeah, somebody may come in and say, hey, I have, I'm starting up this company. There's 3 of us that are founders. In 2 years, we want to attract venture capital money. What
Yes.
should we do? We sort of give them the vision.
Okay.
Here's the things to think about. Ultimately, once they hire a law firm, you engage them and they're your client at that point. But here it's just, free advice. Here's what we've seen. Here's things to think about.
Okay.
And
So business planning and helping prepare the paperwork necessary to get into the venture capital game, you could be helpful in that regard. Providing
First National Bank had a good example the other day. A client walked in and again said, I'm about to start up my new business. Have no idea sort of where to begin and need funding. The same thing if you went into the First National Bank's office, you'd sit down with a loan officer or whatever and you get an hour consultation. But this is sort of a way to bridge that gap because maybe they don't want to go to the First National Bank.
There's
go to the
definitely
front
a gap,
desk and,
absolutely.
And so this sort of,
Sure.
brings it to the people, if you will, and sort of bridges that gap between startups and entrepreneurs that may not know where to go and say, hey, here's sort of the avenue. So.
What's the biggest, just from your personal experience, what's the biggest obstacle, the biggest problem? High potential entrepreneurs, people that have an idea, maybe they've begun and they've got some things together, but they're stalling out or they're certainly not reaching their potential. What's the mistake or the barrier that you see? Is it just, they just need more money and they'll be fine? Do they lack management acumen? What are your thoughts quickly about that?
That's a good question. Yeah, money certainly doesn't solve all the problems. Sometimes you get that investor and you have too much money and don't know how to sort of put it to work.
Yeah. Or sometimes you get venture capitalists and they're deep into your business, I'm told,
right.
And it takes away all the fun. They're telling you what to do and where to go, and all of a sudden you don't feel like it's your entrepreneurial business anymore.
Yeah.
So that can happen as well, right?
Yeah. Another big thing is not wanting to move. Right. This is my vision. This was my baby. Well, you need to be able to pivot. 3
Yes.
or 4 times to sort of get where you want to go.
Yeah.
And you need sort of good business advisors that you listen to.
Yes.
Along that path. So I think I've seen that a lot where you go down this path. It was a good idea, but you need to move a couple times.
Got to morph and adapt and become actually something
right.
you weren't envisioning when you first started out.
And I think credit to them. A lot of the entrepreneurs have very strong passion about the original idea, but I think the successful ones can.
Yeah,
can
sometimes
move
they're
and pivot,
difficult to work with because they have that personal
Right.
drive.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Daniel McMahon with the Mastercraft Advisors. Let's name all 4 of those companies one more time.
Koley Jessen, a business law firm,
Yes.
Advent IP, intellectual property law firm,
Very important.
Lutz accounting firm, and First National Bank.
Outstanding. Mastercraft Advisors at the Mastercraft building on 13th and Nicholas. Pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
This is terrific. Thank you so very much. Thanks for watching us here on Wild Biz Weekly. I'm Hinderaker. We will see you soon on wildbiztv.com. Bye-bye.